Alright guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to go ahead and check out another Warframe video. Now, I really enjoyed the Warframe Prime trailers, and the wonderful fans of Warframe let me know that there are some other videos out there that explain a little bit more about the Warframes. Apparently the Warframe Prime trailers were a little bit more cinematic in their flair, and oftentimes I would say, I wish I would have seen a little bit more about their abilities. And you guys were gracious enough to point me in the direction of the Warframe profiles, which do exactly that and explain the Warframes in a little bit more detail. So, I'm going to go ahead and check some of these out today. So we're starting with Caliban. Let's go ahead and check out Caliban.
Of Warframe and sentient, he is raised from the wreckage of the old war. This is Cal.
Oh, look at that! Like, there's a complete split down the center of his body. That's new.
Caliban, the survivor, the adaptive. Razor Gyre casts Caliban forth as a spinning vortex of death, damaging enemies who come near. Build up speed without a target, or launch Caliban towards a foe, dealing additional impact damage. Sentient wrath stomps the ground, sending out a tide of energy that seeks out enemies. As each wave passes, they are launched into the air for a limited time, taking additional damage. Lethal Progeny deploys up to 3 conquest servants that attack nearby enemies, and replenishes Caliban's shields while not in combat.
Ooh. Okay.
With the flicker of a piercing eye, Fusion Strike emits 3 concentrated beams of sentient energy that sweep the battlefield to converge to a single point, causing damage to any enemies it touches. Upon their convergence, a large blast damages those in the area, temporarily reducing the armor of all enemies caught within. Once a weapon consigned by Era after the Old War, Caliban is yours to sow vengeance in the new.
Okay, guys, that was Caliban. Really like his design. A lot different. Looks way more robotic, especially since there's a huge gap running down the center of his torso. And you guys were absolutely correct. I think I like these profiles better than the Prime trailers. While they are less cinematic in their styling, they certainly provide much more information, and I really like that. So let's see who's next.
She is the one to give hope to the hope.
This is Yareli.
Defeating her enemies with an aquatic grace.
What?
This is Yareli, the selfless, the wave rider. Sea Snares sets a deceptively friendly trap for unsuspecting enemies, holding them in place while dealing increasing damage over time.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Already within range when Yareli sets her snare, the bubbles will hone in on her prey. Catch a wave with Marulina, Yareli's very own elemental board, and the inspiration for K-driving.
What? She gets an alien surfboard and she can grind rails?
While riding, a percentage of incoming damage will be diverted away from Yareli toward Marulina. Aqua Blades emits high-speed protective cyclones around Yareli. Enemies that foolishly attempt to break through this barrier become staggered and take damage. It's the current that'll get you, Tenno. Riptide conjures a captivating jet of water that draws in her enemies, ragdolling and holding them in place. Upon deactivation, enemies are launched outward. taking increasingly lethal damage based on the amount of enemies caught within. Yareli fights for those who need it most and strikes fear into those who oppress. Do you dream of water, Tenno?
Okay, Yareli, very stylish. Very stylish. Its outfit, or its design, I should say, is very interesting, very feminine. Almost looks like she's got a dress on. Very slick that she can, like, she's got like a separate board she can ride on. That's not gonna lie, that's pretty stinking cool. Sevagoth.
He is the reason to fear the darkness, where his ethereal presence shakes loose the mortal coil. This is Sevagoth, the Reaper, the Spectre of Death.
Yo.
Releases Sevagoth's shadow to damn all those it touches, damaging enemies with Death's harvest over time. The souls of the dead contribute to Sevagoth's death well. So, plants a death seed in nearby targets, siphoning their essence into Sevagoth's death well upon their expiration. Reap what's been sown to expulse a percentage of their remaining health into a deadly radial blast. Gloom casts a dreadful wave that permeates outward, slowing enemies within range, filling the death well with their life force the more he ensnares. And allies within its aura steal health with each attack. Together in eternity, draw upon the death well and tear the enemy asunder with Sevagoth's shadow. Embrace debilitates its target, pulling them within range of Shadow's deadly melee attacks for a short time. Consume dashes the Shadow forward, vacating its target's soul from their body, healing itself for a percentage of damage dealt. Death's harvest weakens enemies around Shadow, causing them to take increased damage while the aura is active. Reunite Sevagoth and his Shadow to once again become whole. Do not seek death, Tenno, for Sevagoth may find you. Will you live to tell his tale?
All right, Sevagoth. Interesting one. It's a kind of an interesting design. They've got the front of him has like these things coming down his shoulders, over his shoulders and flowing down, much like the robes of religious figures. So it's pretty interesting. His powers are kind of reminiscent of like almost like Death Note, where he has like a Shinigami with him that is like an embodiment of death. As for the character and his whole deal, it's cool, but I just don't find it quite as interesting as, like, let's say the previous one with like the water surfboard. It's still neat, but if I had to like rate it, it would be, I don't know, like a C instead of like an A. I don't know. It just doesn't hit me quite the same way as some of the other ones did. Lavos.
Manipulating the laws of the physical realm. His prowess permeates the battlefield. This is Lavos, the transmuter, the elemental craftsman. Ophidian bite lashes forth a serpentine strike, dealing toxin and infused damage, also healing Lavos for a percentage of damage dealt. Hold this ability to imbue toxin damage onto the next ability cast. Vile Rush charges Lavos forward, launching a trail of elemental vials in his wake. These vials contain both cold and infused damage, providing guaranteed stat.
Oh, okay. See, that is a cool ability. He's able to slide through a group of enemies while releasing like chemical vials behind him that appear to not only slow the enemy down and damage them, but also transmute them into rock or glass or something, which then breaks and shatters.
At his chance, hold this ability to impute cold damage onto the next ability cast. Transmutation Probe deploys a forward-moving drone that enhances pickups it passes by. Enemies who venture within its proximity.
So I don't know what kind of pickups you guys get in this game, but the ability to enhance pickups in any game, frankly, would be awesome.
Take electrical and infused damage, while also reducing ability cooldowns with each successful hit. Hold this ability to imbue electrical damage onto the next ability cast. Safety first, Tenno. Catalyze deploys a perimeter of catalyst probes that inflict heat and infuse damage to enemies as they come in contact with their deadly gel, doubling in damage for each element afflicting an enemy. Hold this ability to imbue heat damage on.
So I really am digging Lavos in the fact that not only are like his animations cool, but he has like neat little gameplay mechanics where he can, if you use him right, you can add special like status effect to his abilities. So, and the fact that he can add, it looks like what? Heat, cold, electric, and like corrosion, poison damage, and use them when he wants to. And I'm assuming that certain enemies have different resistances to some of these status effects. So it seems like Lavos always has an option for whatever may be in front of him. It's like, it almost like he has like this little mini game with his abilities on applying status effects to them. It's kind of, it's pretty cool.
On to the next ability cast. Lavos harnesses the secret of invention, Tenno. Experimentation is the beauty of science.
Now, while his aesthetic design is definitely not my favorite, his abilities are freaking cool.
Forged from the remnants of lost Warframes, they channel the spirits of the void.
Xaku, forged from the remnants of lost Warframes. Interesting.
This is Xaku, the fragmented, the restored. Zata's Whisper imbues their weapons with void energy, dealing a percentage of additional damage for a limited time. Grasp of Lock disarms nearby enemies and surrounds Xaku with their armaments, turning their weapons against them while firing deadly void beams.
Okay, that is a dope ability. Steal their weapons? That's like a straight up Magneto move right there. Just, yeah, I'm gonna take these guns and turn them around on ya, so have fun with that.
The Lost channels void energy into 3 sub-abilities. Accuse corrupts a number of nearby enemies, causing them to briefly fight alongside Xaku. Gaze temporarily tethers its target in place, while any enemies who come close will have their defenses reduced. Deny fires a void beam that immediately puts enemies struck into stasis, dealing damage while resetting sentient damage resistance. We are always in repair, Tenno. The vast Untime violently erupts the armor plating off of Xaku in a burst of void energy, exposing their skeleton and allowing for faster movement while making them harder to hit. All enemies caught within its blast will be slowed and weakened by void damage. In the concert of mayhem, Xaku is a law unto themselves, Tenno.
Okay. Xaku is freaking cool. The whole concept of just being put together from other Warframes. And now, I don't know, but I'm assuming that his abilities are based on other abilities from other Warframes. So that's, if that's the case, that's pretty cool.
Armed for deadly encounters, she is tactical and timely. This is Protea.
Protea, alright.
The Protector, the Enforcer. Grenade Fan offers offensive and defensive capability. Activate to throw a shrapnel vortex, damaging and staggering nearby enemies. hold to emit shield satellites that protect her, her allies, and companions, restoring a large amount of shields while increasing their regeneration rate. Blaze Artillery places a temporary rapid-fire turret that blasts plasma charges at any enemy it faces. Each successful hit increases its overall damage, piercing through to hit multiple foes with a single blast. Dispensary deploys a cycling supply cache.
Okay, so Protea definitely seems like the builder kind of play style, where she's summoning like turrets or drones to attack or defend. Definitely a builder type playstyle, it seems like.
That can generate health, ammo, and energy pickups every few seconds. Always have an escape plan, Tenno. Temporal Anchor records Protea's state upon activation. Any damage dealt is recorded, and a percentage is emitted outward in a temporal implosion upon deactivation. Rewinding Protea back to the activation point, restoring all ammo, energy, shields, and health to the anchored state. If down...
Wow, that's like a very advanced version of Tracer's Recall. So not only, like, much like Tracer's Recall, it rewinds you, gives you your ammo back and your health back, but this allows you to get in there, do a bunch of damage, wipe out your enemies, and then as you recall back to your previous state, you do a burst of damage, recall yourself back, wind up getting your health, shields, and ammo back, and then whoever's left in there that you didn't kill, you're now ready to go in there fully armed and at full health to just finish the job. I'm digging this one. Her other abilities seem a little bit more utilitarian, but this one seems very cool as an offensive ability.
While active, Protea will uncontrollably rewind, and any stored damage benefits will not be realized. Protea is the method to the madness. When you face her, it's already too late.
Grendel.
Feasting on enemies like his own personal buffet.
Whoa!
His hunger for battle is primal. This is Grendel, the Devourer, the Insatiable. Feast swallows an enemy whole and stores it in Grendel's gut.
Yo, he's like a he's like some kind of gnarly plague marine.
The more enemies held, the more energy consumed. Had enough? Evacuate the contents contained within with deadly effect. Nourish consumes the first stored enemy, providing a radial buff to Grendel and nearby allies. Regurgitate violently expels a bile-soaked enemy from Grendel's gut, turning the unfortunate creature into a toxic projectile. Revenge.
That's hilarious, by the way. Gobbling up and then vomiting out an enemy as a projectile is hilarious. I love it. I love it.
Is like a rolling stone, Tenno. Pulverize, curls Grendel into a rolling ball, violently knocking back enemies in his path, jumping and impacting the ground, clears the immediate area with a damaging burst. Dinner is best served with a side of mayhem. Bon appetit, Tenno.
Grendel definitely looks pretty interesting.
Charging his abilities with every step, he's streamlined for speed. This is Gauss.
Gauss.
The runner. The rapid.
Oh! What?
Mock rush. Thrusts Gauss forward in a short sprint burst or sustained rush. Charging his battery and knocking out enemies as he passes.
Oh, hell yeah!
Crashing into solid objects releases a shockwave of kinetic energy. Kinetic plating absorbs physical, heat, cold, and blast damage, preventing both knockdown and stagger effects. While it depletes Gauss's battery, it returns energy based on the damage absorbed. Thermal Sunder siphons kinetic energy from the area, charging the battery while emitting a radial cold status. Reversing this process drains the battery and inflicts heat status on those caught in its wake.
Yo, that's awesome. That's cool. So it takes kinetic energy away from the targets in a radius around you. So when you remove the energy from an object, it becomes colder. And when you add energy to an object, it becomes hotter as its molecules begin to move faster. So this ability is pretty dope in that when the Warframe takes your kinetic energy, you basically freeze to death. And when she releases all that kinetic energy and gives it back into your body, you know, your molecules become highly excited and generate heat, and then you just combust and die from heat. And then on top of the speed, which I'm just in love with, I don't know if you could tell, I love characters that are fast. I'm loving this character right now.
Overlap these elements to dispense a deadly blast radius. Take it to the limit, Tenno. Red line. Increases Gauss's fire and reload rate, melee and holster speeds based on battery level. Supercharging his battery above the red line will release damaging bolts of arcing electricity. Upon deactivation, excess energy gets released.
Yo, what?
Kinetic burst. If the battle seems out of control, Tenno, you're not going fast enough.
Yo, what? Hey, this might be a character that makes me play the game because I love it. I love it. Wisp.
Invisible in the air and swift on the ground, she moves like the wind. This is Wisp, summoner of the ethereal. Reservoirs call forth pods from another dimension at Wisp's location, containing motes that can be plucked to provide aid to her and her allies. Vitality mote increases maximum health and restores health. Haste mote benefits movement and attack speed. Shock mote charges and releases a paralyzing bolt of electricity, stunning those it touches. Will-O-Wisp casts forth a spectral copy of Wisp, which draws the attention and fire of her enemies for a limited time.
Okay, so that's like a... her first ability seems to give lots of utility. And then this Will-O-Wisp thing is very reminiscent of games that allow you to throw like a holographic decoy of yourself to draw aggro from the enemies.
Activating this ability again before time runs out will teleport Wisp to its location. Breach Surge opens a dimensional breach around Wisp, overwhelming enemies that cross it for a short time. When an enemy takes damage, deadly foe-seeking surge sparks may launch outwards, dealing damage proportional to the damage received. Do you worship the sun, Tenno? Soulgate opens a portal to the Day Star, creating a devastating beam of solar plasma that causes massive heat and radiation damage to her enemies. Her grace is balanced only by her destruction. Do not get lost in its wake, Tenno.
Okay, that was a pretty solid one with some good abilities. Hildryn.
Her shields like a battery. Her defensive and offensive utility is unparalleled. This is Hildryn, the domina of armament. Balefire launches devastating, chargeable bolts of fire. The longer the charge, the more deadly the result. But as with all of her abilities, at the sacrifice of her shields. Shield Pillage emits a thieving wave of energy that strips shields and armor from nearby enemies. Upon its return, Hildryn is granted shields based on the amount stolen. Toggle this ability to instantly return any collected shields in the heat of battle. Haven redirects Hildryn's shields onto her allies, offering additional protection that also decreases shield recharge time. Any enemies who veer too close will suffer damage, more so if overshields are present. It's fight and flight, Tenno. Aegis Storm activates Hildryn's thrusters, allowing her to hover above her enemies, suspending enemies caught in the wake below, damaging them over time. Paired with the destructive effects of Balefire, she becomes an airborne menace. In the sky or on the ground, Hildryn fills her victims full of dread.
Okay. Seems like a bulkier, tankier Warframe with a lot of shield abilities. Baruuk.
This is Baruuk, the reluctant warrior. Following the path that winds between peace and hate, he maintains restraint before unleashing the storm within. Elude dodges incoming gunfire and melee attacks while Baruuk is not on offense, wearing down his restraint with each attack dodged. Lull emits a calming wave that slows enemies until they fall into a slumber. Enemies woken by damage will be confused and disoriented, forgetting anything that happened before the lull. Desolate Hands surrounds Baruuk with protective daggers that seek out enemy weapons, disarming them. Each successful disarm erodes his restraint. In the absence of enemies, the daggers will jump to nearby allies, granting them the ability to disarm an enemy. If Elude is active, the seeking range is doubled. Try not to lose your head, Tenno. Serene's...
So I see what they're going with here, right? The reluctant fighter, almost like a Shaolin monk, right? Where they want peace and tranquility and they want to spend their time meditating and pondering the mysteries of the universe. But if you come invade their temple, they're going to kick your ass. So, okay.
Storm unleashes Baruuk's command of the desert wind, delivering powerful melee attacks that disarm and ragdoll his enemies, with combos offering a variety of area-based push and pull effects. Each moment commanding the storm restores his restraint. War is the enemy that lies deep within Baruuk. But
yeah, I get a very strong monk vibe from him, like a pacifist monk who's been forced into a fight.
Can you make it your ally, Tenno?
Okay, I like his theme. Garuda.
This is Garuda, the Gore Queen.
The Gore Queen.
Cleansed by the blood of her enemies, she draws strength from vulnerability. Dread Mirror lunges Garuda toward her enemy, ripping out their life force, converting it into a shield that captures incoming damage. When released, she launches a bloody projectile containing all absorbed damage that explodes on contact.
That's
Blood
pretty cool.
Altar impales an enemy on an altar of talons, which siphons health for Garuda and her allies within its radius. Bloodletting sacrifices a portion of Garuda's health to generate additional energy. Rain red on the battlefield, Tenno. Seeking Talons charges up to release a torrent of bone blades towards visible enemies, staggering them in pain while also making them prone to bleeding. Additionally, in the absence of an equipped melee weapon, Garuda's talons can be used to slice her way through her enemies. When you understand the nature of Garuda, you'll know what she's capable of.
So that one's definitely a highly offensive Warframe, designed for one thing and one thing only, and that's killing some enemies. Alright guys, that was some Warframe Profile trailers. And you guys were right. I enjoyed these more than the Warframe Prime trailers. Though they are less cinematic than the Prime trailers, they offer significantly more information on the kit for the characters, and I really enjoyed that. I'm gonna have to say that my favorite from this particular set is gonna be Gauss, man. I'm sorry, man. That whole speed kit just got me the second I saw it. I was like, this guy right here, I love it. That Warframe makes me want to play the game. And I might, if I had a controller. This definitely looks like a controller game, and unfortunately I do not have a controller of any kind to play this. Otherwise, you know what? I probably would. That being said, guys, great suggestion, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. As always, leave a comment down below. Let me know the next video I should be checking out. And until then, guys, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking out the video. Take care of yourselves and have a great day.